After clocking out from a long night shift and patching up a roof leak at 4 in the damn morning, I dragged myself home completely wiped out. My back was relocation me and my hands were torn up and bleeding. I figured I'd just catch an hour or so of sleep to reset. But when I woke up, it wasn't to the sound of an alarm, it was to my clothes stuffed into trash bags, my wallet emptied out, and a note slapped on the fridge. "You're dead weight. Get out." There was my wife, Monica, standing by the door with her arms crossed like a bouncer at a club, while her son Logan, my stepson, stood there grinning like a punk and tossed me the keys to my own damn truck. "Go cry somewhere else. Don't come back," he said, locking the front door right behind me. I ended up sleeping in that truck for 3 straight nights. Fast forward a couple months, and suddenly I'm getting hit with 50 messages, voicemails, texts, the whole thing full of panic and desperation. Funny how that works. But let me back things up a little. I'm a 33-year-old guy, been married to Monica, who's 37, for about 7 years. She's got a son, Logan, he's 18 now, from her previous marriage. Now, Logan never really took to me. That's fine. Not every teenager wants a stepdad around. I chalked it up to hormones and teenage attitude. But the story? This isn't your run-of-the-mill family argument. This is about how I went from relocation myself working for these people to being kicked out and sleeping in my truck, all in the span of one lousy day. And looking back now, yeah, the signs were there. They were practically screaming at me. Like the way Logan kept accidentally breaking my stuff. Or how Monica would zone out whenever I tried to talk to her about work. Or the jabs about how I didn't make enough money, like I was some kind of burden. And then there were those mystery shopping bags that showed up even though our credit card was already maxed out again. But when you're knee-deep in it, you tell yourself it'll pass. You remember the good times and hold on to those. You make excuses. I work nights. Always have. It's rough, but someone's gotta do it. That Tuesday was brutal, just finished a 12-hour shift, and it was pouring out when I got a text from Monica around 3:30 a.m. saying the roof was leaking in the living room. Just what I needed after being on my feet all night. So I head home in the storm, grab my tools, and climb up there in the dark with nothing but a headlamp. Wind's howling, rain's blowing sideways, and I'm soaked through in minutes. I find where some shingles had come loose and patch it up best I can. Took me an hour, maybe more. By the time I got down, I felt like I'd gone 10 rounds with a baseball bat. My back was shot, my hands were cut up from scraping against roof tiles. Still, I remember thinking, well, at least it's fixed. At least they'll appreciate it. I walk in, and there's Monica in the kitchen, scrolling through her phone like nothing happened. I tell her I handled the leak but that we'd need a real roofer to take a look once the weather clears. She barely even glanced up. Just muttered, "Cool. That's it. No thanks." "No, I appreciate you." "Nothing." I was too damn tired to care at that point. Told her I needed to crash for a bit before dealing with the rest. Planned to nap an hour, then get up and tackle the water damage in the living room. I didn't even change out of my wet clothes, just flopped onto the bed and passed out cold. Next thing I know, I'm being shaken awake. I open my eyes and see Monica towering over me, arms crossed, face like a thundercloud. And there's Logan leaning against the doorframe with that same smug look that's burned into my memory. I thought maybe I'd overslept, but it was only 9:30 a.m. I'd been out for 4 hours, tops. Then I saw them. 3 giant black trash bags by the bedroom door, all stuffed full. I could see my clothes sticking out of one. Before I could even ask what the hell was going on, Monica just tells me I need to leave. Just like that. She says she's done with me. Done carrying me. Done with the excuses. Said I was dead weight and she deserved better. I'm just sitting there trying to wrap my head around it, thinking this has to be some kind of joke. Spoiler, it wasn't. Logan tosses me my truck keys and tells me to go cry somewhere else and not to bother coming back. That's when I noticed my wallet on the nightstand opened and empty. The $200 in cash I'd had? Gone. I'm not proud of how I reacted. I lost it. Started shouting, demanding to know what the hell was going on. Monica just kept repeating that she wanted me gone. Right then, Logan stepped between us, getting in my face, telling me how his mom had wasted 7 years on a loser like me. Mind you, this is the same kid who's never held a job for more than 2 weeks, still lives rent-free under our roof, and spends his days glued to a controller playing video games. And he's calling me a loser. Go figure. I tried to calm down, tried to reason with her, asked if we could talk like adults. She pointed to the bags and told me I had 5 minutes to leave before she called the cops. I walked into the kitchen to grab some water and clear my head, and that's when I saw the note stuck on the fridge. In her handwriting. "You're dead weight. Get out." That was when it hit me. This wasn't some spur-of-the-moment thing. They'd planned this. Still, I grabbed the trash bags and kept trying to make sense of it all. Logan pulled out his phone and started recording me, saying he was documenting me in case I lost it. I wasn't yelling anymore, wasn't doing anything but asking why, what changed. They didn't care. They shoved me out the door. Our door. The house I'd been helping pay for. Last thing I saw before the door slammed shut was Logan's smirk and Monica's ice-cold stare. Then I heard the deadbolt click behind me. I stood there in the driveway like a fool, still wearing the clothes I'd climbed the roof in, trash bags at my feet. My hands were still healing. My back still hurt. And just like that, I was homeless. Tried calling Monica. Straight to voicemail. Texted her, nothing. I could see them peeking out through the blinds, watching me like I was some stranger. Eventually, I tossed my stuff in the truck and drove off. Ended up parked in the lot of a 24-hour grocery store. Tried to sleep in the cab, but it was miserable. Kept waking up thinking it was all just a bad dream. It wasn't. I lived out of that truck for 3 days. Showered at the gym. Ate gas station sandwiches. Just trying to figure out what the hell happened. I was brushing my teeth in gas station bathrooms, trying to wash the stink of the situation off me. Showing up to work looking like hell, unshaved, wrinkled clothes, eyes red from no sleep. It didn't take long for one of my coworkers, Derek, to catch on that something was seriously off. He's the type that won't let things slide, and eventually he cornered me about it. When I finally spilled, he didn't even hesitate. Told me I could crash on his couch until I figured out what to do next. The first thing I did once I had access to a computer again was check our joint bank accounts. Wiped clean. Every last cent gone. 7 years of marriage, and she drained everything we had saved. Sure, it wasn't a fortune, but it was ours, or so I thought. I called the bank, hoping they could do something, but since her name was on the accounts too, their hands were tied. Then I called the credit card companies. Found out she'd maxed out both of our cards, racked them up in the days leading up to booting me out. Like she was stocking up before a storm she knew was coming. Meanwhile, my texts and calls? Ignored. Straight to voicemail. Not a single reply. I drove past the house once, just to see if maybe this was all some awful misunderstanding. Nope. Logan had his buddies over, cars packed in the driveway like it was game night. They were throwing a damn party in my house while I was sleeping on Derek's couch, praying my back wouldn't give out again. And that's when something inside me snapped. The hurt started morphing into something sharper, colder. All the confusion, the disbelief, it started hardening into grit. I stopped trying to reach out. Stopped sending messages. I started planning. With Derek's help, I found a small place to rent, a tiny studio not much bigger than a glorified closet, but it was mine. Got new bank accounts. Went back to work, head down, grinding it out. And I started documenting everything. Every charge. Every message. Every missed call. Just in case. It's been a month now since they threw me out like I was nothing. 1 month of slowly rebuilding from the ashes. 1 month of learning how to swallow my pride and take help from folks I barely knew. 1 month of anger bubbling under the surface like coals under ash, keeping me up at night. But here's what Monica and Logan don't get: I'm not built to break. I've worked hard my whole damn life. I've taken hits and kept moving. I know how to wait. I know how to grind. And when I get knocked down, I don't stay down for long. And trust me, this ain't over. I'll get into what I found out after talking to a lawyer soon. Let's just say they have no clue what's coming. When you treat someone like trash, don't be surprised when they show back up as your worst nightmare. Holy hell, y'all. So like I said, I'm living in this little studio apartment now. Place is tiny, basically a shoebox with plumbing, but it's mine. Derek came through again and helped me find it. I stayed on his couch for about 2 weeks before I realized I needed a space to call my own, even if that space had walls thin enough to hear the neighbor sneeze. The shower takes forever to get warm, and if I run the microwave while the fridge is on, the breaker trips. No lie. But every night I sleep here, no matter how uncomfortable it gets, is a night I'm building something back. Brick by brick. Then something weird happened about 2 weeks ago. I stopped at the gas station before work to grab a coffee, and guess who I run into? Monica's cousin, Jenna. Now, this woman has never liked me. I mean, stone-cold silent treatment at every family dinner kind of vibe. So I was just gonna nod and keep it moving when she suddenly came over looking all awkward, eyes darting around like she was nervous. She asked how I was doing, voice low, like she didn't want anyone to hear. I told her I was hanging in there, the usual polite crap. Then she dropped the bomb. Turns out Monica had been plotting this whole thing for months. Jenna told me that at every family get-together, Monica had been talking about how she was gonna kick me out. Saying I was lazy, worthless, dead weight. She was actively strategizing how to make it happen in a way that wouldn't make her look bad. While I was out here busting my ass on night shifts and patching up leaks in the rain, she was scheming with her family about how to get rid of me. And here's the real kicker, Jenna said that leak? The one I climbed up to fix at 4 in the morning? Fake. Monica used the garden hose to spray the roof to simulate a leak. She knew I'd go up there. Knew I wouldn't ask questions. She wanted me worn out. She wanted me tired and off guard. Who does that? Jenna looked genuinely shaken while she told me. Said she felt sick about it. That she wished she'd warned me sooner. Better late than never, I guess. She also mentioned Monica had been skimming money from our joint account for months, siphoning off little bits into a separate account she never told me about. That right there was the last straw. The next morning, I called a lawyer. That's where things start to get real interesting. The guy I hired, Miles, he's this no-nonsense, older attorney who doesn't waste time. First thing he asked was, whose name is the house under? I blinked. Realized I didn't actually know. The house had belonged to my grandfather. He passed 5 years ago and left it to me. Monica and I had already been married a couple years at that point, and I always just assumed we put both names on the deed after the funeral. It was all such a blur. Miles said he'd look into it. 3 days later, he called with news that hit me like a freight train in the best way. The house? It's still in my name. Mine alone. Let me say that again, Monica is not on the deed. Turns out when my grandfather passed, the lawyer handling the estate transferred ownership directly to me. We talked about adding Monica's name later, but we never got around to it. Life happened. We moved on. So for 5 years, she's been living in my house, acting like she owned the place. And here's the kicker, in our state, since we've been married less than 10 years and the house was inherited, not something we bought together, it's considered separate property. Translation, it's not marital property. It's legally mine. All of it. When Miles told me the house was still in my name, I sat there for a long second, just stunned. I didn't say a word, just let it hit me like a freight train. Then something inside me clicked into place. That cold, determined feeling I'd been carrying around? It hardened into something sharper. Something with edges. The next week, I turned into a man on a mission. I pulled together every document I could get my hands on, bank statements showing how Monica drained our accounts, credit card bills showing her little shopping spree right before she tossed me out, call logs and text threads where she straight up ghosted me. I printed it all. Filed it neatly. While I was gathering proof, I also buckled down and stabilized my own life. Picked up extra shifts at work. Started packing a lunch instead of buying takeout. Canceled every subscription I had, Spotify, Netflix, you name it. Every dollar I saved was another step toward freedom. At night, I'd sometimes slip up and check social media. I knew it'd piss me off, but I couldn't help myself. And there they were, Monica and Logan, posting selfies in my house. Doing renovations with my money. New flat screen mounted on the wall. Kitchen getting a fresh coat of paint. Logan's bedroom turning into some kind of high-end gaming cave. Meanwhile, I'm sitting on a second-hand futon eating cup ramen in a shoebox apartment with a microwave that trips the breaker. But I didn't lash out. Didn't leave any comments. Just took screenshots. More fuel for the fire. More receipts for Miles. That's when Miles told me it was time to cut every last financial tie to her. I canceled the joint credit cards. Removed Monica as my insurance beneficiary. Changed every password I had. Shut every backdoor I could find. And that's when we found the real bombshell. Monica had taken out a personal loan using my house as collateral. A $25,000 loan. Behind my back. I had no idea it even existed. Never saw the paperwork. Never agreed to it. But apparently she forged my signature and signed the papers like it was no big deal. Miles was floored. Called it exactly what it was, fraud. So where did that $25,000 go? Based on what she was proudly showing off online, it went straight into upgrading the house and buying Logan a brand new car. Imagine watching someone live stream themselves robbing you blind and you're just sitting there, helpless. Except I wasn't helpless anymore. Miles started building our case brick by brick. Fraud, forgery, financial abuse. He laid it all out in legalese. It wasn't just about getting my house back anymore. We were making sure they paid for what they did. Everything was locked in. The paperwork was signed. The plan was in motion. 3 days before it was set to go down, I drove past the house. My house. First time I'd seen it in weeks. They'd painted the front door this awful purple color, it looked like something out of a cartoon. Logan's car was in the driveway. Other unfamiliar cars lined the curb. Through the windows I could see people milling around, laughing, eating, drinking. Living it up. In my house. On my dime. And the whole time they had no clue what was coming. Just to be clear, for the folks who love to armchair lawyer online, everything we were doing was 100% legal. Not a single toe over the line. I wasn't plotting revenge. I was reclaiming what was mine. Miles told me the surprise element mattered. If Monica knew what we were up to, she'd dig in, maybe even try to sell stuff off or stash the car. But she thought she'd won. Thought I was broken, probably imagined I was still living in my truck, begging Derek for scraps. What she didn't know is I'd spent the last month building a case against her with military precision. She had no idea I knew about the fraud. No clue the house wasn't hers. No clue she was standing on borrowed time. The paperwork got filed the next day. Now it was just a waiting game. I took the following Monday off work. That's when it was all supposed to go down. Miles and I had gone over the plan a dozen times. We had every detail accounted for. And if this whole mess taught me anything, it's this: when people show you who they really are, believe them. Monica and Logan didn't just show me. They screamed it. Selfish. Cruel. Entitled. Now it was my turn to show them who I am. I'm not a punching bag. I'm the goddamn storm they never saw coming. So, Monday happened. Monday morning, I was parked down the block from the house with Miles in the passenger seat, both of us quiet, waiting. My stomach was in knots. I barely slept the night before, kept dreaming I'd show up and find the whole house gone, like some cruel joke. But no, it was still there. My grandfather's house. That ugly-ass purple door. Logan's car sitting proudly in the driveway, bought with my stolen money. 2 other vehicles were out front, probably more of Logan's freeloading buddies. Right on schedule, the sheriff's cruiser rolled up. Miles gave a little nod. It's go time. We waited a minute for the sheriff to approach the door, then stepped out and started walking up behind him. My heart was thumping in my ears. I stayed a few feet back, just in case Monica tried to slam the door shut before she got served. Through the glass next to the door, I saw them. Movement. Voices. Then the door opened. Logan, wearing basketball shorts and no shirt, looking confused as hell as he stared at the sheriff on our front porch. Monica came rushing in from behind him, tugging a robe closed around herself. I couldn't hear every word, but I saw the moment the sheriff handed over the paperwork. And I swear to God, the look on her face was worth everything I'd been through. I watched Logan's expression shift from confused to stunned, like his brain was trying to reboot. Monica snatched the papers from his hands and started reading, eyes darting like she was trying to make the words say something different. Then she saw me, standing just behind the sheriff. Y'all, her face. God, I wish I had a picture of that moment. The second it hit her that she wasn't running the show anymore. That I wasn't broken. That she'd messed with the wrong damn man. That single moment made every night I'd spent sleeping in my truck worth it. Every salty cup of ramen in that crappy apartment. Every time I'd sat there feeling gutted and humiliated. It all led to this. The sheriff laid it out plain and simple. They had 48 hours to vacate the premises. That's when Monica lost it. Went full meltdown. Started yelling that it was her house. Said I was harassing her. Threatened to call the police. The sheriff, who was the police, just pointed to the paperwork and said it was all in order, legally filed, legally served. Logan tried to puff his chest and get in my face, probably hoping to intimidate me. The sheriff shut that down with one look and a hand on his belt. Then Miles stepped up. Calm, collected, professional, laid it all out for them. The house? In my name only. The loan? Fraudulent. Backed by forged signatures. The emptied accounts? Documented. The stolen wallet cash? Noted. Everything they'd done, he had evidence for it all, right there in a neat little folder. Watching their expressions shift as he read through each detail. It was priceless. Monica pivoted from rage to waterworks in a heartbeat. Went from screaming to sobbing, asking how I could be so cruel. Pleading, saying we had 7 years together. Where would they go? What would they do? I didn't say a word. Just let her spiral. Then Logan made the dumbest move of the morning. He called me a pathetic loser. Said I'd come crawling back. Said his mom only stayed with me out of pity. Something in me cracked wide open. I looked him square in the face and told him he had 48 hours to get his crap out of my house, or whatever was left was going straight to the dump, including that fancy little gaming setup I paid for. The sheriff reminded them. No damaging the property. No removing fixtures. Everything inside, including the TV, appliances, renovations, was now legally mine. We left them standing there on the porch, stunned and speechless, holding a stack of legal documents like they were written in a language they didn't understand. As I walked back to my car, I felt light, lighter than I had in months. But that wasn't the end. Not even close. 3 hours later, my phone blew up. Monica calling, then texting, then calling again. I didn't answer. Miles had warned me not to talk to her directly. Everything needed to go through him. By the end of the day, I had 17 missed calls and 23 texts. Some threatening, some tearful, some begging me to come back. I took screenshots of every single one and sent them straight to Miles. Next morning, I checked my phone and nearly dropped it. 47 new messages. 47. Voicemails, texts, DMs, emails. Hell, she even slipped a handwritten letter under my apartment door. How she got my address, I still don't know. The messages were a whole journey. First anger, then bargaining, then full-on desperation. The tone got more unhinged by the hour. She said she'd changed, that Logan was sorry, that she'd made a terrible mistake. The last message was just, "Please, Nate, we have nowhere to go. No money, nothing. Please talk to me." Miles told me to send one message, one and nothing else. All communication must go through my attorney. His contact information is in the documents you receive. Then I blocked her everywhere. Wednesday morning, D-Day. Miles and I met the sheriff back at the house. I half expected them to put up a fight or try and barricade themselves inside. But when we pulled up, there was a small U-Haul in the driveway. Logan's car was gone. So were the other ones. Monica stood on the porch alone, eyes red and swollen like she hadn't slept. She moved toward me, but the sheriff quickly stepped between us. As I walked past her, headed back into my house for the first time since this whole thing began, she muttered something I'll never forget. "You can't do this to me. You'll regret this. Logan was right about you all along." I didn't even blink, just walked inside. The place was a wreck. They'd clearly bailed in a hurry, grabbed what they could and ditched the rest. All those renovations they'd bragged about, half done. Walls half painted. Kitchen cabinets ripped out, never replaced. Wires sticking out where the appliances used to be. And out of spite, they'd done some damage on the way out. Holes in the drywall. Gouges across the hardwood from dragging furniture. Bathroom sink cracked like someone punched it. But you know what? I didn't care. The house was mine again. The trash had taken itself out. Miles walked through with a camera, documenting the damage. We might file a separate claim for it. He said we have options. The forged loan is already under investigation. Monica could be in real legal trouble for that one. Felony-level trouble. After they left, I just sat there on the floor of my empty living room. No furniture, no noise, just me. First time I'd been alone in that house in 2 months. It didn't feel like victory exactly. It felt like letting go of a breath I'd been holding way too long. I called Derek, told him it was done. He showed up an hour later with pizza. We sat on the hardwood floor, eating, talking, making a list of everything that needed fixing. Roof was top of the list, obviously. Then the damage they'd left behind. He offered to help. Said some of the guys from work would pitch in over the weekend too. Real friends. The kind who show up when things get ugly. Not the kind who bail when you're inconvenient. That night, I slept on a camping mattress in the bedroom. First real sleep I'd had in a long, long time. The next few days were a blur. Cleaning, organizing, planning. I used up some vacation days I'd been hoarding. Every hour I spent reclaiming my space felt like therapy. Then, just when I thought I could finally catch my breath, there was a knock at the door. I opened the door and there she was, Daniela, Monica's sister. She looked like a nervous wreck, standing there wringing her hands and twisting her wedding ring like it was the only thing keeping her upright. I hadn't seen her since before Monica threw me out. Back then, she and her husband, Brock, were at every family gathering, him holding court like he was the alpha of the universe. Loud, smug, constantly talking over her. The guy had control freak written all over him. She asked if she could come in. Said she needed to talk. I hesitated, but something in her voice made me open the door anyway. She barely got 2 steps in before the tears started. Said she was sorry for everything Monica did. Said she tried to talk her out of it, tried to warn her, but Monica wasn't hearing it. Then she hit me with the bomb. Monica and Logan were currently living in her basement. Sleeping on an air mattress, no money, no car. But that wasn't even the worst part. Brock was making their lives a living hell. Especially Monica's. Taking whatever cash she had left. Telling her when she could leave the house, even controlling what she was allowed to eat. The irony, man. She went from treating me like I was beneath her to being treated like a damn prisoner. The same garbage she tossed me out like she was now living in. But Daniela wasn't there to beg for Monica. Not even close. She was there for herself. She said watching me stand up for myself, seeing me claw my way back after being thrown out like nothing, that gave her the push she needed. She'd been planning to leave Brock for months but never had the guts to actually do it. Until now. We sat for hours at my kitchen table piecing together a plan. I called a friend who works at a women's shelter. Reached out to a couple contacts. Made sure she had a safe place lined up. A way out. This morning, while Brock was at work, I helped her move the essentials into a storage unit. As we loaded the last box into her car, she started crying again. Said she never expected me to help her, not after what Monica did. I looked her in the eye and said, "You're not Monica. You didn't do a damn thing to me." And I meant it. Now it's evening. I'm sitting on my back porch, watching the sun dip behind the trees. The yard's a mess. The house still has a long way to go. My bank account isn't exactly healthy. But I'm free. And I'm stronger than I was 2 months ago. Funny thing, Daniela texted me about an hour ago. Turns out Monica and Logan just found out she left Brock, and Brock blamed them for it. Kicked them both out. No warning. No place to go. No money. No car. Logan's right? Repossessed yesterday. And surprise, surprise, none of their so-called friends are willing to take them in. Funny how that works. So that's where things stand now. I'm rebuilding day by day, brick by brick. They're unraveling. And every single day, I feel a little less bitter and a whole lot more at peace.